saw this quote today. It goes like this: perfection is achieved not when there is nothing more to add, but when there is nothing left to take away. This quote comes from the French, I don't know, he did so many things. He was like an author. I think he was an aviation pilot. His name is Antoine de Saint-Exupéry, and he's, I think, most famous for writing a story called The Little Prince, which has been translated from French into many languages. So again, perfection is achieved not when there is nothing more to add, but when there is nothing left to take away. And it's really beautiful because I've come across this sentiment in many different cultures, many different traditions. I think even Leonardo da Vinci said something like this. And it actually got me thinking, not so much about the quote, which I'll get to in a little bit, but what happens to us when we are, sitting, we're working, we're watching something, and something really true flies by our consciousness or our screen, something like this. And maybe it's not true to you, but it is a very beautiful quote. And we see it, and often we're like, oh, this is such a great quote, that's so awesome, and we agree. And then off we go into our lives as if we never saw and never acknowledged it. So it got me thinking about how we metabolize these pure, beautiful, these quotes, these spiritual ideas, whether it's, a song, a hymn, a chant, the essence of something, peace, love, light, whatever it is, like whatever the beauty that exists is, we hear it in a moment, we read it in a book, we feel it for a few seconds, and then it's almost like some part of us is like, oh yeah, that's great. And now back to the daily rut of existence. And what if we didn't do that? Or what if we actually are missing out because we do something like that? And again, part of this quote, that perfection, it's almost like perfection already is. Like with this beautiful iris flower, this is a blue iris. From its seed form, its fullness, its color, its fragrance, its perfection exist. And then it goes through its growing process into the leaves, into the stalk and the stem, and then into the bud. And then it opens up for the world to see. But the seed carries the encoding of the color. I will be blue with this middle tongue that is yellow. I will smell like this. The perfection is held in the seed, and it is through the growing process, the alchemy of the elements coming together, that this seed then grows, and then we have this beautiful flower that is going to accompany me in my day's journey over the next few days, for as long as it lasts. And encoded in it is also a time. It's not an eternal flower. It'll stay, bloomed for a few days, and then it will wilt. And even that is perfection. So what am I adding? What am I adding to it, really, to make it more beautiful? I'm not. It's in water. But there's nothing extra I am doing. And I think maybe this is true for a lot of things we behold as beautiful. They already are. Children are a really good example, right? You have these like perfect, sometimes they can be monsters, but for the most part, they're these perfect babies or they're perfect children. And then they're going to grow up into hopefully being great adults, great humans who walk in the world with love, with integrity, with kindness, with responsibility, but the perfection still sort of lives. And so I was thinking about this quote, about where I, in my personal life experience, where I sort of push and force these constructs and ideas of perfection onto something. And the obvious space for me is in the workplace. So, and it's ironic because It's also, the workplace for me is, where a lot of this force, at least in my life, comes out. And it's also the place where, we might judge ourselves a little bit more than necessary, or we experience it from others. So if you were to imagine with me for a few moments, there is a project that you have at work. You are assigned it from your boss, pretty mundane, normal part of your day. Here's the thing though. This is where I think we separate what is spiritual from what is material. In that moment, how many of us are like, oh, I have a project, the beauty and the perfection of it. Said no one ever. But for a laugh, let's just say that is our perfection. Like that is our approach, that we acknowledge that in our day, in our task, whatever it is we're doing, the thing that we are supposed to work on, it's already done, it's already perfect. And really what we're doing is to peel away what is not needed. And so with a project, you have, a goal, you'll have a scope, you'll have a budget, you'll have time, you'll have other coworkers who are helping. It's almost like you're adding all of the stuff in your pot, a little bit like cooking, actually. And then, you mix it all up, and then there's delays, or someone got sick, or there's like a budget crisis, or the scope changes, or your client, your customer isn't happy. We have all of these things, and they kind of take away, they cause our little daily stress, they cause our little frustration. And that's where like we try, we struggle, we work so hard and we push, and it's that proverbial hamster wheel. And then finally the project gets launched and it's good and it's done. And then you're handed another project, and then the cycle repeats itself. What this quote is, I think, speaking to is almost like switching perspectives. And it's a little bit harder. I haven't fully sorted it in the workplace, so I'll actually switch to a cooking example, right? So if you have a pot and you're adding all your food ingredients because you're making dinner, it is simply that we're adding a bit of this and a bit of that, and this is the flavor, and these are the vegetables, and this is the meat, and this is the carb. But what if we flip our perspective? And what if what we're doing is acknowledging in the moment that all of these raw materials, the meat, the carb, the rice, the food, the vegetables, all of that, in its raw form, carries the vibration of love and of nourishment gifted to us by the earth. We actually start in gratitude. And then what happens is that we are now peeling away what does not serve us. The skin of the potato, the skin of other vegetables, the harder stalk of something. If it's, the husk, the bones, if it's meat, we are pulling away what does not serve us, what the body cannot digest. And once all of that's been pulled away, we can start the alchemic process. Cooking is alchemy. And then we add the elements. There's some heat, there's water, there's oil, there's all of this stuff with our intention, with our focus. And then we are presented a different form, an alchemized form of the perfection that we already started with. We had these beautiful, nutrient-rich, vegetables and meats and all of this stuff. And now in their raw form. And now through this process, we have the perfect, beautiful meal that nourishes our body, that our body can metabolize and convert into our cells, into our bones, into our organs, into our hair, into our skin. And the point of this, on the surface, it's the same thing. We're cooking, we're eating. But to me, the invite here is we aren't just functioning in the material realm. So how can we flip our perspective and expand it? How can we integrate and metabolize some of these ideas, these concepts, these hymns, these songs, the peace, the light, the love that we know exists in the world, but how can we metabolize it into our organs, our cells, our bones, so that it helps us evolve and change from within, so that we become lit and radiant from within. And there's no one way of doing it. I came across this quote today, and I find when I am pressing or pushing, or when I am in this hamster wheel, I am not metabolizing the beauty, the blessing, the perfection, the grace, the gratitude. I am not able to see the perfection of something. I tend to focus on what isn't working, what I don't have, what I wish I had. It would be better if that person did this, or that person didn't do this. And we get into this preference, judgment, opinions about other people. And of course, it's never us. All of these like fun things that the mind likes to do. But this space, beholding perfection in that which is, already is, without us having to do anything, is really one of those big things that it's almost like your mind cannot conceptualize it, because it isn't of the mind to conceptualize. But the heart knows. And often I think even our gut, we have a sense, and we know when we're fighting, life or a person. And we know in those moments, it's really annoying when someone comes to us and it's like, oh, you just need to relax. Don't worry, it'll work out. And we want to punch that person in the face. But I think the reason we want to do that is because we know. It's because we've sort of been indoctrinated in this cycle, in this hamster wheel. And so if we release from that, even for a few moments, and this isn't something, where we love this quote, so we are just it. Again, it's a day-to-day, step-by-step practice. We try it in certain areas of life, try it at work. And if it doesn't work with a specific, interaction with a particular person, try it at home, try it with cooking, try it with your sleep. If you have a hard time sleeping, I find it really beautiful to behold, especially in relationships where, we've all either have or have had relationships that just get under our skin for whatever reason. And we love the person, but it's, in many ways it feels irreconcilable. And so I offer for you, whatever and it may not be a relationship, whatever it is for you. So when you sit within yourself on this day, if you can envision, imagine, and really activate your feelings, feel what it feels like to have that relationship, that dynamic, that project, whatever it is, and actually feel love, peace, connection with it. And behold and acknowledge that it is already perfect. And now consider, what are the things we can do? What are the things we can release? What are the things we can pull away to bring that perfection into ourselves, for us to meet that which is already perfect? And practicing this in different areas of life, like it is kind of fun, like really play with it, because it is a very different mindset. And it is a very different, since it's not of the mind, maybe it's a different heart set. But I find these practices really helpful in engaging our heart, engaging our emotional body, along with our mental body, along with, the sense of things that we feel in our gut, in our spirit, like when we get chills down our spine, when something feels right or wrong. The attempt here, we are being guided by our wise one to attempt to walk in our life and in our world with our full selves, receiving the information from our sense organs, from our mind, from our heart, from our gut, from our spirit, from our surroundings, and then choosing to do or not do, then choosing to behold something as perfect. So that is the invitation today. Have a great day.